My dear friends, today, I want to shake the very foundation of the lies you've been told about yourself. Because for too long, people have whispered in your ear that you are small, that you are weak, that you are not enough. And maybe, just maybe, you started to believe it, but let me tell you something with absolute certainty: you are not limited. Your limits exist only where your belief in yourself ends. That's it. The walls you think surround you, most of them are not real. They are illusions built by fear, doubt, and the opinions of others. Think about this: every invention, every breakthrough, every revolution in human history started with someone who refused to accept the so-called limits. The airplane was impossible until it flew. The light bulb was a fantasy until it burned. Walking on the moon was a dream until it was done. So, let me ask you, what's stopping you? Not your past, because your past is a place of reference, not a place of residence, not your failures. Because failure is not the end, it's education wrapped in disguise, not your circumstances. Because circumstances are temporary, but your spirit is eternal. The truth is, the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the story you keep telling yourself. If you say, "I can't," you're right. If you say, "I will," you're also right. And here's the proof: look back at your own life. Think of the challenges you thought would break you. Remember the nights you cried, the days you felt crushed, the battles you thought you couldn't win. Yet here you are, still standing, stronger than you were before. That is proof that you are not limited. You've already walked through fire, you've already climbed mountains, you've already survived storms that others couldn't even imagine. And if you could do that, you can do more. So from this day forward, I want you to stop asking, "Can I?" and start declaring, "I will." Stop saying, "I'm not enough," and start shouting, "I am more than enough." Stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself the freedom to rise. Because the world doesn't change when you play small. It changes when you realize your true potential, when you step into your greatness, when you refuse to accept limits. You are not limited by your past. You are not limited by your age. You are not limited by your failures. You are not limited by anything except the belief that you are. So prove it to yourself. Prove it by taking that step. Prove it by chasing that dream. Prove it by refusing to quit when the world expects you to give up. Because the truth is, and I want you to hear me clearly, you are limitless, and the moment you start living like it, everything in your life will change. My friends, let me begin with this truth: the biggest chains that bind us are not made of iron but of imagination. The limits you feel pressing down on your chest are rarely real. They are illusions created by your fears, your doubts, and by the voices of others who told you you can't. Think about it: if everyone believed in limits, we'd still be living in caves, fearing the sky above. There would be no electricity, no airplanes, no internet, no medicine. Every single breakthrough in history was born because someone refused to accept the illusion of limitation. The Wright brothers were told humans would never fly. Edison was told the world didn't need the light bulb. Great leaders, scientists, inventors, and dreamers, all of them broke the so-called impossible. What does that tell you? That limits are not facts, they are opinions, and opinions can be ignored, challenged, and proven wrong. When you tell yourself, "I can't," you are building a wall that doesn't exist. When you say, "It's too late," you are putting chains on your own potential. But when you say, "I will try, I will learn, I will rise," the walls begin to crack, and suddenly you realize the only limit was your belief. So today, I challenge you: stop treating limits as permanent truths. Ask yourself, is this really a limit, or is it just fear pretending to be truth? Because the day you see your limits as illusions, you'll step into a power you never knew existed. You are not limited by reality. You are limited only by the story you choose to believe. Change the story, and you change your life. Many people live their entire lives as prisoners of their past. They say, "I failed before, so I'll probably fail again. I was hurt once, so I should never try again. I grew up poor, so I'll always be poor." and they wear their history like a chain around their neck. But listen carefully, your past is not your prison, it's your classroom. What happened yesterday is not a life sentence, it's a lesson. The heartbreak, the failures, the mistakes, the struggles, these are not signs that you are broken. They are signs that you are human. They are proof that you've lived, that you've tried, that you've grown. Your past is a reference, not a residence. You can look back to learn, but you don't have to stay there. Imagine driving a car while staring only at the rear view mirror. You'd crash every time. Why? Because the road ahead is what matters, not the road behind. Some of the most successful people in the world come from broken backgrounds. They faced poverty, rejection, discrimination, or failure after failure. But instead of saying, "This is who I am forever," they said, "This is where I came from, but it's not where I'm going." And the same is true for you. Your scars are not your weakness, they are your strength. They show that you've survived, that you're still here, that you still have more to give. So today, stop allowing your past to dictate your future. Stop saying, "I can't because of what happened." Start saying, "I will, because I've learned from what happened." Remember this, you are not defined by where you've been. You are defined by where you decide to go next. My friends, I want you to shift your perspective on failure. The world has lied to you, telling you that failure is shameful, that failure means you are weak, that failure means you are not capable. But let me tell you the truth, failure is not limitation, it is proof of growth. Think about a child learning to walk. How many times does that child fall? Dozens, maybe hundreds. But do the parents look at the child and say, "You fell 3 times, so walking isn't for you"? No, they encourage, they clap, they cheer, because they know that every fall is evidence the child is getting closer to success. So why is it that when we grow older, we forget this lesson? Why do we treat our own failures as final verdicts instead of stepping stones? Every time you fail, you learn something new. Every failure refines you, toughens you, and teaches you what doesn't work. It gives you wisdom that no book can teach. Thomas Edison tried thousands of times before the light bulb worked. When asked about his failures, he said, "I didn't fail. I found 10 0 ways that didn't work." That is growth. That is progress. Failure means you were brave enough to try. Failure means you stepped outside your comfort zone. Failure means you didn't let fear paralyze you. And that, my friend, is something to be proud of. When you look at your failures, don't see them as scars of defeat. See them as badges of courage, because every great achievement in history has been paved with failures first. So I challenge you, stop being afraid of failure. Stop being afraid of never trying, because the only true failure is giving up. As long as you keep moving, failure is simply fuel for your success. Remember this, failure is not the end. It is the evidence that you are alive, learning, and on your way to greatness. Life is not decided by circumstances, it is decided by mindset. 2 people can face the exact same situation, yet one sees defeat while the other sees opportunity. What makes the difference? Their belief. If you believe you are limited, you will act limited. You won't try. You won't risk. You won't grow. But if you believe you are capable, unstoppable, and resilient, your actions will reflect that belief, and life will open doors where others only see walls. Your words shape your reality. When you say, "I can't," you chain yourself before even trying, but when you say, "I can," you awaken a force within you that looks for solutions, not excuses. History proves this. Every great leader, inventor, or athlete had the same human body, the same 24 hours in a day, the same world to live in. What separated them was not superhuman talent, it was mindset. They believed in possibilities others couldn't see. Your brain listens to your words. If you tell yourself every day, "I am weak, I am limited, I can't do this," your brain accepts it. But if you affirm, "I am strong, I am capable, I will find a way," your brain begins to search for strategies, for solutions, for strength. Mindset is the foundation of achievement. Change your belief and you change your possibilities. So I ask you, what story are you telling yourself? Are you repeating the lies of limitation, or are you speaking the language of possibility? Because the moment you decide to believe in yourself, you unlock doors you never even knew were there. Never forget, your mindset sets your boundaries or removes them. Sometimes we look at the future and feel overwhelmed. We say, this mountain is too high, this challenge is too big, this dream is too far. But pause for a moment. Look back at your own journey. Think about the storms you've already survived. There were nights you cried yourself to sleep, convinced you wouldn't make it. Yet here you are. There were challenges you thought would break you, but you endured. There were failures that felt final, but you rose again. The fact that you are still standing today is proof that you are stronger than you think. You've already overcome pain, heartbreak, rejection, disappointment, and fear. And every time you came out wiser, tougher, and more prepared, you underestimate yourself because you forget your victories. You forget the strength it took to keep going when everything in you wanted to give up. But if you survived the battles of yesterday, what makes you think you can't conquer the challenges of today? You are living proof that limits are lies. Your life is the evidence. If you could endure everything you've faced so far, then nothing ahead of you is too big to handle. The world might doubt you, but your own history should convince you. Look at what you've already overcome. It's undeniable proof that you are not limited. Dreams without action remain fantasies. Plans without steps remain wishes. The only way to destroy limits is through action. You can think positive thoughts all day. You can read every motivational book. You can dream big dreams. But nothing changes until you move. Action is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter where you started, how much you have, or what you've lost. Consistent action creates results. Fear shrinks when you act. Doubt disappears when you move forward. Limits vanish when you take steps. Why? Because action is proof that you refuse to stay where you are. Imagine standing before a locked door. You can stare at it, complain about it, or wish it would open. But nothing changes until you reach for the handle and push. That's action. Every successful person you admire didn't wait for perfect conditions. They acted with what they had. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They moved, and readiness came along the way. The truth is, action creates momentum, and momentum destroys barriers. When you keep moving, doors open, opportunities appear, and strength grows. So today, don't just say I will. Prove it by taking that step. Prove it by moving forward, no matter how small the step may be, because consistent small steps create unstoppable progress. Remember, action is the cure for doubt. Action is the proof of belief. And action is the key to breaking every limit.